Hello, Tri-Cities, and welcome to the 2020 Candidate Forum, the only business-focused candidate forum in the Tri-Cities, brought to you by the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce. In this forum, you'll be hearing from the candidates running for Benton County Commissioner Position 1. I'm Cody Proctor, news anchor with Keeper, and I am pleased to be with you here. Early voting starts as ballots will begin appearing in mailboxes on October 13th, and this will run through Election Day, Tuesday, November 3rd. I want to say thank you for joining us to hear the candidates' thoughts on issues that matter to the Tri-Cities community. And now we turn to a message from the President and CEO of the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce, Lori Matson.
As the foremost advocate and voice for business, the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce leads by advancing policies and positions that strengthen, preserve, and promote a thriving business climate, economy, and quality of life. The 2020 candidate forums are designed to highlight how candidate positions integrate with local business priorities. I'd like to take a brief moment to thank the Chamber's Board of Directors and Local Government Affairs Committee for their leadership in supporting our advocacy efforts. I'm especially pleased and grateful for the support of the candidate forum sponsors, Cascade Natural Gas, GISA Credit Union, JLH Group, and Hayden Homes. And last but not least, a very special thanks to our local news partners for collaborating on this project. Your time, talent, and expertise are valued and truly appreciated.
Thank you so much, Lori. It's a pleasure to serve the community by providing opportunities for voters to become better informed about the people who are running for public office. Let's take a look at the format. Each candidate will have 1 minute for opening and closing statements. The candidates will be asked the same questions. Response time for each question is limited to 2 minutes. Time limit reminders will appear on screen at 10 seconds remaining, and if necessary, when time is up. Since this is a forum, candidates will not be provided rebuttal time. We're now ready to get started. Let's begin by introducing in alphabetical order the two candidates for Benton County Commissioner Position 1. The incumbent is Commissioner Jerome Delvin, and the challenger is Justin Raffa. Welcome, and thank you both very much for taking the time to be with us here. We appreciate both of you, and if you're ready to go, let's get started. Now, as mentioned, we will start opening statements in alphabetical order. So, Mr. Delvin, we'll begin with your opening statement. You have 1 minute.
Great. Thank you, Cody, for doing this. And also I want to thank the Regional Chamber. So this is running for my third term as Benton County Commissioner. Prior to this, I served 2 terms and also 10 years in the State House of Representatives and 10 years in the State Senate. I think during these times of the pandemic and issues going on in our economy and also in our area, I think experience is needed to fill this seat again. I hadn't planned on running, but with the pandemic hitting and some other issues going on in the county, I felt that experience I needed to stay in the office because of the experience that I do have. Experience in Olympia has paid off greatly for Benton County because of my contacts over there, and especially during this pandemic with my contacts over there, I've been able to move this county forward when a lot of the other counties haven't. So I ask for your vote come November 3rd. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Delvin. Mr. Raffa, you will now have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Thank you, Cody. I'm Justin Raffa, professional musician and arts administrator with 20 years of experience in the nonprofit sector. I have the work background and skill set required for the commissioner office, including committee participation and oversight, budget creation and management, and accountability to public stakeholders. The arts by nature are nonpartisan, and I have successfully built relationships in our community across the political spectrum. As such, I am the only candidate with true bipartisan support in this race. I believe in governance, not grandstanding. I am a voice that is committed to civility and respect in our political discourse and serve as a founding member and current chair of the Tri-City Civility Caucus. I believe in a balanced approach to decision-making and am committed to fostering collaboration. I plan to leverage my strength as a networker to create collegial relationships between Benton County and local jurisdictions, agencies, and businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raffa. We'll move on now to the question and answer portion of our forum. A coin toss just prior to taping has determined that Mr. Raffa will answer the first question and then alternate for subsequent questions. Are you ready, Mr. Raffa?
All set. Thank you, Cody.
All right. If you could change one thing in Benton County that, if implemented, would allow for profitable development, business success, and a broadened tax base, what would it be and why?
Relationships. I believe that we need to bolster commissioners' relationships with area chambers of commerce and TRIDEC, who are already successfully supporting our business climate. This starts with improving commissioner attendance at meetings of the agencies and boards to which they are assigned to represent the county. I will create more engagement with the business community, be present at community networking events and forums, and create an environment that welcomes public input at county government meetings. Benton County also has an opportunity to more closely partner with city and port jurisdictions and Franklin County on creating a collaborative long-term strategy regarding a shared vision for our region's future and how everyone can work together for the betterment of all our residents. The county has historically operated in a siloed fashion and generally does not negotiate with its partners in good faith. We need to renew healthy, collaborative relationships with the county's jurisdictional partners, especially considering that 80% of county residents live within the incorporated cities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raffa. Mr. Delvin, your turn.
Well, thank you. I don't know what planet my opponent lives on, because if he knew all the committees I served on weekly, daily, and monthly, he would see that we do have good communications with our partners. Our rural county fund that we have given over $10 million in just the last couple of years to the cities and the ports. Counties aren't allowed to do economic development, so it's important that we have those partnerships with the cities and the port districts. I think if you ask them, they would tell you the monies that Benton County has given certainly go a long ways in the economic development around here. I think what you have to have in a county government is to have a transparent tax base, a tax base that allows development, but also allows growth for the county and its programs. Another thing, I don't think I would change anything, how we operate as a county now. I would encourage my opponent to read the RCWs on how you can conduct meetings. You're only allowed to have meetings on your county board in the county seat, which is Prosser. So unless he's encouraging moving the county seat to Prosser, from Prosser, to Kennewick, you can have special meetings, certainly, but you have to advertise those, and they have to be pretty one subject only. So I would encourage him to do his research and know exactly what Benton County is doing with our partners when it comes to business development and broadening the tax base. I think he has a lot to learn. I think that's why it's important now to have my experience for these times, because I have developed important relationships with the cities and the port districts, and you can see that by all the development that's been happening in this area.
Thank you so much, Mr. Delvin. We'll be moving on now to our next question. We'll be starting off with Mr. Delvin this time. Here's the question. Tri-Citians place a high value on living and doing business in a safe community. How do you plan to address civil unrest around law enforcement and race relations, as well as mental health and drug addiction?
Well, I mean, I'm a retired police officer, over 30 years in law enforcement. I think we haven't seen the civil unrest around here with our law enforcement. I think we have good relationships with our police departments and our sheriff's deputies when it comes to our community. And so I don't see an issue right now. Race relations, again, I'm not in the law enforcement sector right now, but I still talk to a lot of officers. I don't hear those same complaints that you see on the TV news nightly in this area. I think our community is a giving community. And I think a lot of people will say that we support the arts, we support groups and such. The county does a lot, as well as the mental health and drug addiction. That's one thing that we do have. The commissioners do control the jail now. It's much better, and we take care of the mental health and drug addiction problems with the people in the jail, and that needs to be a wider. I don't want to see mental health issues in the jail, and we need to work more. I've been working more with the Recovery Coalition, trying to get a detox center here, but you got to have the right provider to provide those services. The county's willing to step up, put in for grants, use my contacts in the state to get some funding that we can have a detox center, but also some people call it a center that you have the drug addiction, mental health issues are all taken care of, because we don't want those people in the jail, and that's important. That's something I've been working on for a long time, is trying to get, but it takes the community to come together to do that. One person can't do that. We need the hospitals. We need to find the right provider to provide those services.
Mr. Delvin, thank you so much. Mr. Raffa.
Benton County has the same challenges of systemic racism that face our entire country. Understanding that there are limitations on a commissioner's authority over local law enforcement and the justice system, as policies are largely made by the elected sheriffs, judges, and county prosecutor, I would endeavor to work with those independently elected officials to ensure they have significant budget resources for training and hiring to address this important issue. I would convene a diverse panel, including people of color and members of our county government, especially from the criminal justice system, who could make recommendations on how to address these challenges and work to enact those recommendations. I would also be in favor of expanding the role of the Civil Service Department by inviting additional community representatives to serve on law enforcement hiring panels for the sheriff's office. All institutions have implicit biases that do not necessarily match up with their articulated beliefs. By actively engaging the community and seeking to diversify its staff, Benton County can help champion issues of equity in our local government. In regards to mental health and drug addiction, I support a comprehensive approach to behavioral health and mental services through the creation of a rehabilitation center, as has been discussed now for a number of years. I am in support of that project and eager to work with our local partners like NAMI and SARC, who are specialties, who specialize in these particular areas. I look forward to the opportunity to partner with them to bring this much needed facility to our community. Thank you.
Mr. Raffa, thank you so much. We'll be moving now to our third question, and we'll be starting with you first this time, Mr. Raffa. Let's begin. How do you see Benton and Franklin counties collaborating together and with other municipalities to solve shared problems and advance regional initiatives?
We need to rebuild our relationship with Franklin County, especially considering the number of bi-county agencies that they steward. I am prepared to work together with our neighboring commissioners to make decisions in the best interest of residents of both counties, notably the candidates who share my commitment to collaboration. I support preserving the traditionally shared county functions who have been successful for years. The combined courts and health districts in particular help lower the fiscal impact of those programs and ultimately save taxpayer dollars. Networking is a key skill to success in the arts and a big part of my role as a director. I plan to leverage my networking experience to keep Benton County connected to area partners in government and the private sector by creating collaborative relationships of mutual trust and respect. Much of the collaboration that we are looking for between government agencies, it starts with the individual relationships of those elected officials and the staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raffa. Mr. Delvin.
Well, I think I have a strong commitment and a strong record of working across the aisles. When I was in the legislature, I think if you ask anyone, you'll find that true to be. And it still continues on here locally now that I've been a commissioner. The two counties, we get along great. We work together on a lot of things. We do have some shared services. And we've looked at services that can be separated just because we're big enough counties now. And, you know, it's 40 years. Sometimes you got to look at change. You always have to be adaptive, look at what works better. So you need to look at that all the time to see how. I mean, collaboration, weekly we meet with the cities on Zoom meetings now to talk about issues going on with the pandemic, but other issues too. I think you'll find a strong record of cooperation between the counties now and the cities because of the issues involving around the pandemic, but also other issues when it comes to economic development and to advance regional initiatives. I mean, I participate every year when the chamber sets their legislative agenda. We advance what we want as a region, and we work together collaborative on that. So I think there's a lot of collaboration going on already, but we're always looking for better ways and better services because you want to keep the services going. And some things we can do better. There's issues between Benton and Franklin counties when it comes to resources. So that's always a challenge. Right now we have the aging juvenile court building and the jail system over there for the juveniles. That needs to be replaced. Unfortunately, Franklin County doesn't have the resources Benton County does. So I'm working with them to try to replace that aged building and let us work it. And they can participate, but we will build the new center.
Thank you, Mr. Delvin. Gentlemen, we're moving on now to our fourth and final question. We'll be starting off with Mr. Delvin this time. What are your top two priorities for Benton County, and how has COVID changed your perspective?
Well, with the COVID, certainly the budget becomes a central issue and a priority because we are seeing a small decrease in revenue. But I think our strong budget that we have in the past is going to help us get through this, especially with the CARES Act money. We've been able to enhance resources so our employees can still work but be safe. But the budget is one of the top priorities. Coming up, again, I talked briefly about the Juvenile Justice Center. I'm looking to work next year in the legislative session to get some funding to continue that effort, along with a drug and mental health treatment center. Now that we have the Recovery Coalition, we certainly have a community group that I've been working with that is interested in having more services. And so that'll be another priority. But I guess again, the top priority is the budget and make sure that we continue a strong, physically sound budget for the coming year.
Thank you, Mr. Delvin. Mr. Raffa, your turn.
My top two priorities are to make the role of the commissioners more transparent to the public. I will create more community engagement and help differentiate how county government services vary from those at other levels. I will foster an environment where citizens feel welcome to participate in county government by providing public comment at meetings and communicating with commissioners without fear of criticism or embarrassment from defensive replies. Secondly, safeguarding the health and well-being of the county's 200,000 plus residents in this era of COVID-19. I trust science and will make data-driven, fact-based decisions as part of a community-wide effort regarding our ongoing response to a global pandemic. COVID-19 will continue to have a devastating effect to our local economy, and we've already seen that negative impact on our bi-county area over the past 5 months. Our current commissioners were largely silent on this front for too long. I am in alignment with the governor's Safe Start Washington phase reopening plan and believe that we can find a balanced approach to protecting our residents while supporting local businesses. I will help us navigate through future phases by pursuing proactive solutions in collaboration with area business leaders, medical industry experts, and trained public health officials. I will also work closely with other elected officials from our cities and ports to make sure we are working in tandem on this front. And to that end, I will model the way by focusing on governance and believe I am the responsible choice in my race as we continue to battle COVID-19 well into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raffa. And thank you both. This closes the question and answer period. We will end out the forum with closing statements now. Since Mr. Delvin opened up for us, we will begin closing statements with Mr. Raffa. Mr. Raffa, you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Cody, and thank you to the Tri-City Regional Chamber for this opportunity. Whether you're a longtime voter, a disenfranchised voter, or are eligible to vote but never have, I invite you to please exercise your right and let your voice be heard by casting your vote in the general election on November 3rd. Ballots will go out in the mail around October 16, so you have plenty of time to fill it out. Please be sure to sign the outer envelope of your ballot and return it to a designated county auditor drop box to ensure it is counted. For more information about my campaign and list of public endorsements from community leaders and small business owners, please visit my website, www.justinraffa.com, and follow me on social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. If you're a voter in Benton County, please vote for Justin Raffa, a balanced approach, a civil voice, and the responsible choice for Benton County Commissioner District 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raffa. Mr. Delvin, your closing statement, please.
Well, again, thank you, Cody, and again, thank the chamber. I think now you got to just look at experience and what's been done here. My opponent talks a lot about what he would do and what he wouldn't do. But I think at this time you need experience, and I have that experience to carry the county and our area through this pandemic, but a lot of other issues. As when I served in the legislature, I solved a lot of these local issues, and I continue to do that as a county commissioner. Look for experience. It's easy to read something off a teleprompter or a script, but I just answer from my heart, and my life has always been about service, and I continue to serve the voters of Benton County for the next 4 years. I think it was important the decisions I make are based on experience, so I always fall back experience. You can visit my website at jeromedelvin.com. It has my list of the sponsors, or excuse me, contributors, but also endorsements from a wide range of businesses and leaders in this state, both Republican and Democrat. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Justin Raffa and Jerome Delvin. Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us for the Tri-City Regional Chamber's 2020 Candidate Forum, featuring the Benton County Commissioner Position 1 candidates. Now, as we begin the countdown to Election Day on November 3rd, please remind your Benton County friends to watch, share, and get out the vote. You can find this video and other Candidate Forum videos on the Tri-City Regional Chamber website. That's at www.tricityregionalchamber.com. And again, we want to say thank you to the Chamber, to Keeper, the candidates and sponsors, Cascade Natural Gas, HISA Credit Union, and JLH Group. And especially, we want to say thank you to all of you for watching. I'm Cody Proctor signing off, and remember to vote.